I wish that I'd been taught when I was at school. I'm an investor, a business owner, and a money educator. Understand it better, compound into that cash flow, budget of investment, recover from debt. No one explained to me, put your money to work. It's about normalising the conversation.
Hey everybody, it's Sarah Poynton with the Money Mechanics podcast. Welcome back. Today we are joined by the incredible Shari Tiegman, and Shari is a mindset mentor or creative strategist for business owners. And I came across Shari because I was at an event in Wembley in London, and I saw Shari speak on stage, and she was talking about how we need to evolve the versions of ourselves to be able to step into the future versions of what we want our life to be. And it really hit me. Shari, as I told you when I met you, you made me cry that day. You made me really go inwardly and ask some questions. And I'm so excited to have you here. So excited for our listeners to listen to what we've got to say today. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
It's going to be a great conversation. So my first question for you is where we start, everybody, is what is your earliest money memory and how has that shaped where you are today?
It's a loaded one for a silly story, but I've had an interesting money story over the years. So my first money memory, my parents' birthdays are both in April, so I don't know which birthday it was for, but it was early April. I remember my mom pulled up into the car park of what used to be like a pharmacy that sold cards, and she let me go in. I was probably 5 or 6 with money to purchase a birthday card so she wouldn't see it or my dad wouldn't see it. And I went, I was so excited. I was, with my tiny little hands, I'm still tiny, but I was extra tiny then. My little hands holding up to the till to get my change. And I didn't know at the time that you had to take an envelope with the card. So in America, they have the card and then the envelope's behind. You've got to take the match and run. So I came out with just the card. Now, my mom was very loving, but a tough cookie. So she didn't mince words. My dad's more the mincer of words. And she's like, where's the envelope? I had no idea I was supposed to take one. So while I had my first freedom with money, I thought I did something wrong. And she didn't care. She went in and got it, but something there clocked. And if I now look backwards, I can see I've had a lot of that this whole lifetime. I'm now 51 of right thing, wrong thing, not sure, can do it, but we'll see what happens. And it's such an interesting thing. Even just you asking that question, I never would have linked those two. So thanks.
Amazing. So talk to me a little bit about what your money story has been like and, what your experience around money is.
Yeah. My money story is a strange one. I grew up, I guess Brits would call it middle upper class, right outside New York City. And my family comes from Holocaust survivors. So they came as immigrants to America. They had nothing. Both my grandparents worked in factories. The other side of my family came right before the war. They had a printing factory. So real salt of the earth, every penny mattered. And my father came from that, wheeled his bed out of the closet every night in the room that he shared with his 3 siblings and grandmother. And so everything I grew up with was self-made, which was exciting because I didn't know lack of possibility. My dad started from nothing. He didn't have the old money stories. Well, he did. The factory was a family factory, and then it went bankrupt when he was in uni. So he stopped uni, went to the Navy so that the Navy would pay for his uni, and started work very young. So there's a lot of this on, off. But I grew up never wanting for anything, but not spoiled because my grandmother, who was a survivor, lived with us. So I had perspective built in, but went to summer camps. We didn't really go on holiday, but if I wanted something in the shop, it wasn't a problem. I honestly, embarrassingly now, I didn't think about money. It wasn't something, my mom didn't work. She helped my dad in his company, but she took care of the home. And that's how I was raised, especially in this Jewish modern Orthodox world. We did the cooking and the baking and all that stuff. And then I went to uni. And after I graduated, I got married at 23, very young. And I worked in a hat shop and I worked in fashion a bit, but as soon as I had kids, I stopped working. And I had side gigs. I was a makeup artist for years. I did mosaic art, all creative things that made me money. And it was fun for me, but I didn't have to worry about paying the bills.
Right.
So for me, My money story didn't really start till my early 30s when I got divorced. So I was a stay-at-home mom of 2 boys. I built a school for them, like very driven, same personality, but I didn't have the awareness of the money piece connected to the achievement piece. My achievement and money stories were very separated until I went through this very rough divorce and went from not having to think about money to having nothing. And the divorce took a few years and it was very rough. And at the time, because of the way divorces are, the lawyers kind of freeze everything. So I won't go into details out of respect for the other people in the scenarios, but I had a very different life suddenly than I had. And during the divorce, because I was a stay-at-home mom, my ex-husband's lawyer had me, I didn't even know this was a thing, had me evaluated by an employment ability expert. So there's a stranger who knows nothing about you. Awesome. Has you sit down in a very stressful, muggly, plain office and asks you a series of questions to find out what you're made of. Not stressful at all. Amazing. So you're there to prove who you are, prove what you're capable of in the midst of an entire life change. So
what do you need in that crazy time?
Exactly. And I was going to perform fabulously, obviously, with all of my genius and creativity, right? So long story short, this lovely, strange lady smacked a sticker on my head, and this was 15, 16 years ago, that I could make $30,000 a year, like being a secretary in the school or doing, something like that. And that's no dig. In America, $30,000 a year is not going to get you very far. 30,000 pounds in England, a bit better, not great, but people can live on that. In America, you can't. And obviously, my lawyer was very happy about it because he was trying to show my ex-husband had it because he's like, she's very smart. She can make a lot of money. And I understand he didn't want to have to support his ex-wife. And I was the mom of his 2 kids. Everyone's got lots of opinions about that. In any case, I then had for the first time a value / position slapped on my head in a sticker, which most people don't get price tags on their heads and their brains. So
okay, a very short interruption of the episode. So I want you to get back to listening. I just wanted to remind you that the Money Mechanics weekly newsletter is completely free and we'll send this out to you every week. All you've got to do is find the link in the show notes and get signed up. When we send this out to you, this weekly newsletter is going to include things that will help you to become a better money mechanic. It could be things like what's happening in the markets, things like budgets, how that's going to impact you. And I'm also going to share a lot of insight into what I'm doing in my own portfolio and in the portfolios of the guests we've got on the podcast to really just help you understand what you could do differently to make your money work as best as it can for you. Make sure you go and find that link and get signed up.
My lawyer tells me I did a good job. It helped them assess the money and the child support and all of that. I'm like, okay, I didn't understand any of it at the time. And then I was officially divorced and moved from a 7-bedroom house into a 2-bedroom apartment that I loved and I felt safe in. I was very happy in. Actually just moved out of there less than a year ago because my landlord wanted his apartment back. Like, it's been home even as I've grown my business. It's home. I don't need big things. Mm-hmm. So because I had a lot and then lost a lot, stuff doesn't mean a lot to me. But what happened was that $30,000 sticker stayed on my forehead for a very long time. So after my divorce, I've kind of fell into a darkness after the adrenaline ran off. And I knew what I didn't want for so long, but I looked forward and I couldn't see anything. So I started diving into personal development to figure out how I got here and what I was going to do next, and learned about the industry and absolutely loved it. I've always been a helper. I'm like, oh, so I trained as a yoga teacher and as a life coach at the same time about 12 years ago, and then started my business up. Great. I'm going to have a business. I'm going to pay my bills. This is so exciting. And every time I made money, a big bill would come. Or every time I made money, it would go somewhere to something. An emergency would happen. A car thing would happen. And it took me about 4 years, Sarah, to realize that $30K sticker was modulating what, no matter how much I made, I ended up down at $30K.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is with it? And I had no awareness of it, which is like the scary part of how our brains work. No idea. I was achieving and I was on podcasts and I was starting to get, amazing clients and all this stuff. And I'm like, wait a sec, something's off here. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, it was such a specific number. I'm like, where'd this number come from? Oh my God. So I manually removed the sticker from my head and off we went. But the patterns still stay of how big can I go? How good a mom can I be if I do this? And for those of you who don't know me, I live in New York, but all of my clients are British, and I travel back and forth every other month. I run a coaching department for a company in the UK, and all my private clients are British, always have been, even when I was only in America. So I navigate this life that people will say, oh, I wish I had, it's so glorious. You're traveling all the time. Like, glorious. Yeah. I'm rolled in a little snail ball in the back of a plane, jet lag 24 hours a day. It's extremely glamorous. Yeah. I watch people's take on me and expectation and assumptions about me. And then I look at my reality, and they're not the same. And I'm not lying about them. But even when we tell people the truth, if we have a big personality or a big brand, people make their stories no matter what. So I love talking about this stuff. I was so excited when you asked me to come on, because people are surprised when they hear my money story, because they would assume I lay down in my bed and I do, snow angels in loads of money. Where
feathers and money.
I'm waiting. No one's dropped even the fake dollars on there, but I'm waiting. It's coming.
You get a money gun, Shari.
Exactly. One of those money guns, do a brand shoot with it. Exactly.
Yeah,
so there's still this discount part of my brain that's on scholarship for school, for my kids' school. And, one pocket to the other, and standing in the supermarket playing credit card roulette to see how I'm going to pay for the groceries that week, while also being really proud of the deep work that I do. Money and achievement is still separate in my brain.
Interesting. That's really interesting, actually. So would you say that you've ever been underestimated financially? Have you maybe underestimated yourself, or have other people underestimated you from that perspective?
That's a great question. I would say categorically still, to this day, better than I used to be. I definitely underestimate myself. And I think people don't, and I do. So there's a weird misalignment there. So I had last year the strangest, sorry, I'm a storyteller. You're asking me questions and I'm giving you long stories. Sorry.
I'm excited to hear the stories. So you carry on.
This is an interesting one that I think a lot of people will relate to on either side of it. So, we have this whole charge what you're worth. We're all priceless human beings. So our price tags have nothing to do with what we charge. So I met someone last year at a speaking gig that I did, and he was actually American, and everyone laughs because I'm American, but all the Brits know me. Americans don't. Okay. So he spoke after me, and I've heard of him. He's a big mentor in America. And he came up to me after. He's like, why don't I know you? Oh, that's so sweet of you. Very nice to say. I absolutely loved your talk, Shari. I want to speak to you. Great. So we hopped on a call, and he said to me, I'm really upset I didn't know about you last year. So that's a compliment. Thank you. Why? He said, last year I was looking for a coach, and you're exactly the right fit for me, but you were not recommended by anyone because you're not high ticket enough. And I was like, what? Usually we're all so worried about charging and no one's going to shop with us, where I had the flip of, it was such a smack in the face. I didn't go run and change my prices, by the way, because from an integrity perspective, having times, I know people say, oh, money's not the objection. For a lot of people, it is. We live in a crazy world, and it's okay. I don't undervalue myself with my prices, but I also don't think they need to be overinflated. But it was so interesting that someone would have shopped that way and not found out about me because I wasn't in the tier that he was looking in. Yeah. So that really shifted something for me of this. I don't shop that way. I don't think like that. I don't market that way, but lots of people do. And it's really interesting to see, in the more luxury market or higher ticket market, think about it. They wear certain shoes. They eat in certain restaurants. They'll drive certain cars. They're not worried if a car drives better than a cheaper car. They shop a certain way. So they're going to shop like that for their business growth as well, or even their mindset. So it was interesting because it's such a different way that I look at things that I had to incorporate that as like another perspective that I wouldn't see, given that, everyone just wants a good deal. No, they don't. They actually don't shop like that.
Very interesting. And as a person who also has an education company, that's really interesting for me to hear, because it helps. Again, you do think often the reason why we don't sell more is because the price point, we're becoming too expensive. But actually, for some people, we are too expensive, but for other people, we're too cheap. And that's really interesting about, again, who are the clients that we're trying to speak to and the message they want to hear to.
Absolutely. And for each person, their value to money matrix is totally different. And we put our own money story on our own assumptions about what we've been told or questioned just to be comfortable. And then we keep ourselves in whichever corner of the matrix you end in. Some people are so high priced, they don't have any clients, but they're terrified to devalue themselves, which I understand. But it's everyone's own story. It's not even something measurable. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So what would you say most people misunderstand about money the most? So you obviously work with lots of different clients from different backgrounds, different ages, genders, all of the things. What do you think is the most common misunderstanding about money?
What frustrates me, because I hear it on a daily basis from every range of people that I speak to, is when they hit a certain money number, they will feel successful. Now, I've no doubt you have this too. I can't tell you how many clients I've had who've had those 200K launches and they hit the numbers they wanted, and they call me in a full panic, which I'm waiting for, by the way. I'm numb. I feel absolutely nothing. It did nothing. And the terror of they got where they said they wanted to go and broke themselves for, and they got the result, and they finally believe me that it's an internal thing, not an external thing. And listen, our society and our education system and cultures have created this because it keeps us all, singing from the same hymn sheet. But when people in our world, the 2% of the world who are willing to be brave and take chances and create things that haven't been created, still feel nothing, the course correction is terrifying because they have to ask themselves questions they never had. So it's never been about the money. It's about the emotions underneath the money that people like to hide money behind.
And do you know what? I don't mind sharing this for the podcast, and it'd be interesting, link to that. In 2022, I think it was, I'd set myself a target, and very similar to what you've just described, my target was to do £100,000 in 24 hours.
Amazing.
That was right. And it was a mega goal for me. I was like so excited. And I hit like 98,000 and some pennies, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated because one, I'd missed my target. So in my mind, I'd convinced myself that was a failure, even though when, my mentor at the time said, Sarah, you've done nearly 100 grand in a day. Most people don't earn that in 3 years. Like, what are you?
Go buy yourself an ice cream. You are.
Like, what are you doing? So there was that. But also, like you've just said, I felt nothing.
Yes. It's scarier to feel nothing than feel upset.
Yeah. I was like, well, nothing's changed. Nothing's changing. Like I've got that tick. And should I tell you what it did for me? It made me think, well, I have to go bigger then.
Of course it did.
And like bigger. And then it was at that period of my life, I started to think, do you know what? Bigger's not the point. I've got to look more internal. And I mean, I've been doing a lot of work, and I still work on this a lot now. Until you are happy, money won't make you any happier. In fact, it makes you sadder and more lonely if you've got it and you're really an unhappy person, because it does feel very empty. Money for the sake of money does feel quite an empty thing if you've not got any substance behind it as a human.
Absolutely. And even understanding what the money will bring you. So for some people, money brings freedom. For some people, money brings safety. We can't talk. It's not the same currency. So if you're talking a number and I'm talking a number, our numbers mean something different. So until we understand our internal drivers, the external can't fill an internal hole. So I know it's very nice of me to say, well, you have to feel safe before you have the money, but you do, because you won't feel safe when you have it if you don't know what it feels like, because we have to experience the feeling instead of waiting for something to save us. Now, I'm not saying money isn't great to have, but it's an amplifier. If you're not a good person without it, you're going to be a not good person with it. If you're a good person without it, you're going to be a great person with it. It just affords us new opportunities, but it's almost too many multiple choice on a test, where then a lot of us, our nervous systems get overwhelmed when we have it. It's that, age old people who win the lottery lose the money because they don't have the expansion and the bandwidth to understand who they will be with it and how they fit in a world with it.
So often what in my experience, what happens with people is that they stay in the same financial patterns, even when they know in theory that financial pattern is hurting them, or, destroying their business, or destroying their personal life, or their, relationships, or their internals. Why do you think people stay stuck in those patterns, even when they know better?
I'm going to give you an example away from money. I have 2 children. I had my youngest child 23 and a half years ago. Sarah, I still wear my pregnancy sweatpants that are all stretched out from 23 years ago because they are comfortable. Mm-hmm. Now, if you came to my house, I would have to change out of them because I wouldn't see me in them. But they are my comfort zone, and they take me back to a place that was a beautiful memory. And there's a part of me that likes to go, 23 years ago, I could still fit in them. I mean, a house could fit in them. That's why I like nothing touching me. It's a great feeling. So we think it's about money, but it's about our comfort. So even if our socks have holes in them, even if something no longer works, I mean, how many of us could go into our kitchen and find that appliance we think one day will fix? Or everyone has the bag of the leads that go to nowhere, but you never throw it out because one day someone's going to need one.
I got it.
Exactly. Exact same thing. There's this efficiency and safety thing. If I put it down, I have to know what to put instead. And that's where the issue lies. So I won't replace those sweatpants until I find something that feels as good and comforting as those, which nothing can. So I'll rush if you knock on my door and be like, shit, I got to change out of this. But I will put them on every day, even if the string is gone and they're frayed at the bottom, because I relate to them. They bring a part of me back to myself and I feel safe. It's absurd, but it's the same story.
So in terms of how people then react to money, having it or not having it, or trying to figure out their way, how do we break that pattern? Like, what's the advice to get out of the bad habits that we know are not good for us?
So if we take the sweatpants example, the sweatpants that are torn are my known, whether it's comfortable or not comfortable anymore. It and they and I have a relationship. Over yonder in a shop with new sweatpants that may not be comfortable is an unknown I am not willing to risk. I am not giving up my Sunday afternoons of luxury in my gross sweatpants because to put on a new pair of sweatpants and I don't know how it's going to go. I'm being facetious, but you see where this is going. So what we need to do here is, I mean, I do this exercise with clients all the time, split a paper vertically down the middle, known pros and cons, unknown pros and cons. I'm not walking into a haunted house if I don't know what's happening. If I know it's going to be fun and I know it's an escape room, I mean, I still wouldn't go, but some people would. We are more afraid of success than we are failure. It is primal inside of us, and nobody, especially in the entrepreneur space, will talk about this. No, we want success. What does success look like? I don't know. That guy has it. Maybe I want his. You don't want his. You don't have all of his stuff either. So until I know what's possible for me, I can't stretch and I can't choose pleasure over pain. I'm going to choose the same bruise again and again because at least I know it's my arm. If I'm over there, exactly, and I can squeeze it and I can let it go and it's in my control. As soon as something over there could potentially be worse, could be scary, or even worse, I have to repeat it. Now I'm in a danger zone. And that's what success looks like. If I have a 50K month for the first time, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be happy about it, Sarah, because how the hell am I going to do that next month? I'm not going there. That is a place I can't go because I'm going to have to change my identity. Then I'm going to feel like a failure on a month that used to feel great for me. Why would I bring more fear into my life? I have enough. I have enough to share with everyone if they want an extra. So because we haven't assigned and designed what that open unknown looks like, we categorically cannot move our feet no matter how many motivational tapes we listen to, no matter how many coaches tell us what to do, no matter what everyone else's pot looks like. My feet are cemented in the ground. I cannot go there because I won't know who I am. It's an identity thing.
And this actually leads into the thing that you were talking about when I saw you speak in London that really sort of got to me, because you were talking about how if you are not willing to step out of the old version of you, it's impossible to step into the new version of you.
Yeah.
And whilst that seems obvious to most people, in business, in life, in relationships, in money, in everything, that must be true for every aspect of life, right? So we stay stuck because it's safe.
Yes.
Even though we think we want to get unstuck, we
Absolutely.
don't. What's the ingredient that gets you from here to there? Like, what's the thing that people need to change?
So the thing is that we want it, but we don't know how to go there. So the way I work is reverse engineer everything. My whole brand's about being a maverick. So I have to turn everything upside down because it's just the way my brain works. I'm not doing it to frustrate anyone, but we got stuck a certain way. We cannot use that same pathway to get unstuck. ergonomically doesn't make any sense. So we've got to go to where we want to be and reverse engineer. If I want it to look like that, who's the person that I have to become to have that level of success and feel safe in my nervous system and feel safe in my bank account and believe it's possible and know it wasn't accidental? Because there's nothing worse than poking holes in your own version of success. Oh, well, I made that money because my neighbor sent me a client. It didn't count. Or, oh, a payment plan came through. Like, what? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Sabotaging everything.
Like, let's make sure we're not proud of ourselves. That's helpful. So if I create what the version of success looks like, and I check for all the mines that may go off, and I understand what it will feel like and why I want it, and maybe tweak the plan a bit because most of it's up made in our head anyway. And then I reverse the plan and say, I'll give you a silly example. I have a client of mine who, at the time when Oprah still had her show, his dream was to be on Oprah. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm not going to poke holes in anyone's dream. We all do enough damage to our own. I'm not telling someone they can't do something. So I said, great. What does a business model look like right now? Well, I work solely one-to-one. Awesome. So you, Dave, our name was not Dave, but we'll call him Dave, are telling me you want to be on a big stage in front of millions of people, but you've never yet had that experience because you sit quietly in your little office with cobwebs on the ceiling, speaking one-to-one with people who don't recommend you to any other customers. Is that correct? And he's like, oh God. I said, yeah. So until you are someone who can stand in a room of 5 people and speak, and then 10 people, and be bold enough to put out a workshop for 20 people, Oprah's not going to know you exist. Even if you are the best option for her, you are making sure you don't become the person who can get to Oprah. So if we reverse engineer, what are the small steps? And these become small and ridiculous, which is why people don't do them. What's the difference what I had for breakfast, Shari? Who cares if I made my bed? I don't care about rituals. And it's funny for me because I'm not a ritualistic, habitual, consistent person. I work in sparks, but I also know myself very well. So I know what mood is going to take me forward or backwards. I know what BS I tell myself is going to take me backwards. I know what level client and kind of conversations and content I create is going to take me to who I want to be next, or leave me very comfy in my sweatpants. So it's always a choice, but we don't make it once. It's a combination lock, constant. New version, old version. Lots of your old stuff can come with you. Most of us think we have to become an entirely different person. Minus 40 pounds, plus better hair color, and a new accent, and also a new family and backstory, and then we can have what we want. What? It doesn't even make any sense, but we have so many layers of protection. So even if we wish for something, we can't let ourselves go there because we have no idea how to be there. And if I don't know how to be somewhere, I'm not going to the party.
Too scary, right? So we don't.
Scary.
So do you think that our relationship with money is impacted by social media?
1,000. I think every aspect of our life is impacted by social media. And I hate saying this because it's so trite, but we do look at the highlight reels. And even if we are good, responsible grown-ups with families and jobs, it's very hard not to see it. It's very hard not to compare everything about us to someone's 30-second version that they probably filmed 45 times and hate the way their nose looks in it. I mean, but they look confident and they look so happy. And what they said makes sense. I watch my own content sometimes. I'm like, God, I wish I had her in my life. And I show up very vulnerably. So like, I'm not playing that game. And it's still, I have to constantly say to people, I have the same crap as you, right? Like, do not put me on a pedestal. I have no interest whatsoever. And you saw me, I'm very sweary. I'm very open. Most of my sessions are like a joint therapy session. Like, we are human beings. We are not machines. It's not going to be perfect. And what is perfect anyway? We change our goalposts every 10 minutes.
I think that's the thing, the comparison to other people, like they've got the car, they've got the house, they've got the family, they've got the things, they've got the stuff. What we forget in that moment, and again, I do the same thing, we all do it. We forget in that moment is that you can see stuff,
yes,
but you can't feel emotion. You can't feel how that feels. And, there's been periods of my life where I've been putting out the best version of success you could possibly imagine. But internally, like really struggling, like in my, the first few years of my business, my marriage really struggled because I was really fighting to build a company. And I forgot about my real life. Like that's the only way I can explain it is
perfectly said. That's it.
Be in 2 places at the same time. And at the time I was like, that's the bit that's going to be for the future. but whilst forgetting I had a real life that needed to come along with me.
There's no
And
pause button.
I kind of split it in half, and my marriage really struggled, but social media never knew that. No one in the world knew that apart from me and how I felt going home every day.
Yeah. Is so common, and it's so terrifying because social media has made us split off. Because as hard as this is to say, we don't get any applause when we're nice at home and when we're paying attention to our family. But sure, like 50 likes on my new t-shirt that I'm talking about success. Like it's so sick. Like I feel bad for the kids of this generation because they don't have a different experience. We can I kind of remember, I'm like a teenager with social media, but I can remember life before, and it feels weird. I wasn't as connected to people. I didn't have new people. That's great, but all the bad stuff comes along with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something for everybody that's listening to this to be aware of. Like whether you're talking about business or real life or money or anything, that comparison's not healthy. Like we've got to be aware that it is a highlight reel. And again, I know everyone says it, but there's a tangible thought to that. So, Shari, what emotion do you associate with making money? Is it a joyful thing? Is it a fearful thing? Pressure, guilt? Like what emotion comes up for you?
Every one of them, and probably 30 more, depending on the moment. Sometimes I'm in flow and I'm like, game on, and I magnetize it all, and like clients land out of nowhere. Can I pay you in full? And I'm like, where's the camera here? And
yes.
this is so easy. Of course you can. Very easy. And then other times it's like pulling through treacle. And I know it's a me thing. The money didn't move and the business didn't move. It's entirely me. And I am the one pulling the lever. And it took me a long time to admit it because it's a lot easier to blame the outsiders. Oh, the industry, the economy. Oh, well, no one's buying now. Like what? People are buying and people are spending. And, look at a queue of any fancy store right now. No one's feeling anything. So if you show your value for the money. So for me, I feel every emotion and I have to manage my emotions. I'm a very emotional being. So some people, the achievement will then feed the emotion. My emotion feeds my success and my failure. So if I don't start with the emotion, I can't get anywhere. So I have to like actively surrender. So I hold workshops in London. I just put tickets up for October. I already played the game in my head. No one's going to sign up. Sometimes I sell out in 36 hours. Other times I sell a chunk of tickets and don't fill the room. My last workshop, which was as amazing as the other ones, I did a smaller room because I had 6 less people than I usually have. Happened to have been one of the best workshops I held. So watching my reaction to the money is bigger for me than feeling the emotion because I'll believe whatever emotion comes. If I'm excited, game on. If I'm scared, I won't do it. So I have to not engage. I have to push it off and say, how are we going to get into a better feeling about this? Because that's the only way anyone's going to get to have an amazing day with me if I get out of the way of them getting it. So it's a very tiring dance. I find it fascinating of people like you. I don't know if you struggle with this or not or have. Like, I'm amazed at people who don't have this. I mean, they've got other stuff I don't have, but I don't notice that. Fascinates me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am. I would class myself as an emotional being. Like if I'm hyped and excited, it. Like I'm buzzing, bouncing off the walls. If I'm sad, I'm sad. There's no in between for me. There's no kind of, my face gives me away more often than not. And in the sense, we have a Money Mechanics Live workshop that we run twice a year. And I've done events since 2018. And, we've had events where we've had 500 people in the room. We've had events where we've not sold any tickets. And you're like, oh, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And it's really hard to not go, oh, it's because I'm the problem. No one wants to work with me anymore. I've cocked it up, blah, blah, blah. It's so difficult to kind of get all that off you and go, what are we doing? What's the strategy behind it? Like what's changed? What are we not doing that we were doing? And I think sometimes in business, I definitely am guilty of this. Tell me whether or not you think this is the same. But we can have success and then become complacent of that success and think, well, I sold it out last time. Totally. So obviously I'll sell it out next.
I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. And then it doesn't happen. You're like, oh, what's your thoughts on that?
It's like the other side of the same coin. The complacency and the fear cripple it both ways. It's how do we stay engaged without freaking ourselves out or assuming there's a problem or assuming it's going to be fine. I think it's reigniting the passion to the why, which I know sounds fluffy, but if I know that people are going to buy and they don't, my responsibility as the facilitator is to find out what else they need to hear from me to trust the value they'll get in the day, and then they buy. So if I move myself out of the way, I don't want to be complacent because they won't get the best out of me if I don't care anymore. And that happens to a lot of people in our industry. It's like a well-oiled machine. They just show up. They never do new stuff. They never create new content. They're on this video game level that they just think it's going to last forever. And I think after COVID, I think everyone took a little humble pill because things just didn't work the same way. So everyone had to face themselves and their assumptions. So I kind of like the post-COVID world better in that one way. I think it's crazy in lots of other ways, but we all had to find out how good we are. I think AI is going to be the next bump up of that.
Yeah, I agree.
So what I think is going to happen is instead of all the fear mongering, we're going to need more connection at the end of it because the good stuff's going to rise to the top, and everyone who sounds the same is just going to be obliterated. There's not going to be room for everyone. So if we create more connection, if we are true to what we say we do in the world and make sure it's innovative and it's exciting and it's relevant and it speaks to someone right now, not right now 4 years ago and I haven't updated my message, it's our responsibility to be the best stewards of our businesses in order to be the best stewards of the money and the connection, which come together in my mind.
Makes perfect sense to me. So let's talk a little bit about your investments, your money. What's the smartest investment you've ever made?
Ooh, the smartest investment I ever made. That's a great question. It's a sad one, but I'd say my divorce lawyer, who's my friend, and it wasn't one I wanted to make. And I have to, hands on heart, I didn't make it. My dad did, which was very kind of him. I wasn't able to afford it. But what I learned about money during that hard time of my life of not having it and then finding out how important it is and not knowing how to get more, I understood the value of paying for something valuable instead of either because I didn't have, I was, in the discount mode. I understood that the level of what, not always the case, but if the level of what you pay for equals the value that you get, it's the least expensive thing you'll ever pay for. Because if you do the discount route and it's not great, it costs you more in the long run. And I really understood value over money at that point, and it's how I buy since then. So I've made investments in my business that have been terrible, but I learned the most from them, so I don't regret them. I regret the choice, but who I became because of that choice was something I couldn't have learned if everything worked. So I really try hard. By nature, I have a black and white mind of good, bad, just because I have a lot of old trauma. So I'm in safety mode a lot of the time. So I look for, I would say gray, but I look for color, as you can see. I look for color in between, what was the win? So investments in the wrong people as partners in my business were very expensive mistakes that didn't have anything to do with money because I didn't get paid. Expensive investments in a marketing team I thought was going to save me from myself and my business. They couldn't promote something that wasn't accurate and it made me feel not like me. And it was thousands I didn't have to spare, but I will never bypass myself again because of it. So every mistake was probably more valuable than the good stuff I got because with the good stuff, I know my decisions. I don't have to learn anything on them.
It's interesting because on every single episode of this podcast, when I ask this question, quite usually what people say is, I've made investments in whatever it is, and actually they've been poor investments because they weren't good use of the money, but I learn loads from it. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what not to do. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Investment is very basic form, is putting money, time, effort, energy, whatever the investment is, into something in as educated way as you can to get something back, right? And sometimes that goes to plan and sometimes it doesn't go to plan. But everyone listening to this, what I hope you'll learn from that is that everybody that you'll hear talking about this that's made investments that have not necessarily worked out is that they still continue to invest in the things that make a difference, but in a more educated way.
Absolutely.
That's such an important detail is that, my business partner says all the time, when we're babies and we fall over when we're learning to walk, we don't just stop learning to walk.
That's it. Never again.
Never again. Sorry, didn't handle that. We just get up and we invest and we learn and you continue and eventually we walk, right? And, it's the same with business, same with money, same with investment. We always need to think about what's the worst case scenario and then be educated in our move forwards.
Yeah.
That takes bravery and courage sometimes. So how do people find that courage if they've not really got it?
So I think a good KPI that most of us don't measure when we make an investment is, I'm going to say it out loud, it's going to hurt, but it's going to hurt me too. So we'll all get hurt together here. Am I trying to outsource my power here? And those were my mistakes that I made in my bad investments. I was hoping someone was, I'll just say it plain, hoping someone was going to save me from myself. I didn't realize it at the time, but what I learned was I already knew enough. A guru wasn't going to know more than me or understand me, or I couldn't skip over the parts of business that scared me, hoping someone else will do them for me, and then I'd be okay. Like, even I have clients of mine who want to hire a sales team. I'm like, you cannot hire a sales team until you know how to do it yourself, because it won't be in alignment with what you do. I mean, like, no, but I don't like it. I'm like, I didn't say anywhere that you had to like it. I just say you have to know how to do it, and you have to understand what your customer needs. So I think a question is, we'll never know if it's a right or wrong investment. We want to know where it's coming from inside of us. And you said it very well. Sometimes it's an investment of time. If I don't have the time to put in, no matter how much it cost me, we've all had that expensive gym membership and never go.
Yeah.
Our bodies didn't change just because we made the investment. It's, what are you investing? I've had clients who I always have a pro bono client on because I have a bleeding heart and I don't like when people can't get the help they need. So for me, some of my pro bono clients show up even better than my clients who pay me thousands and thousands of pounds, because it's a readiness thing. So we've got to check in with ourselves. Am I ready? And what am I looking for? If I'm looking to outsource my power, or I'm looking for someone else to be smarter than me for me, I cannot press the button on that investment, because it will fail and I'll learn what I need to learn about myself. But can I do that by asking that question first? Yes.
Interesting. And do you invest outside of your business? Like, do you invest in property or assets, stocks, shares? Do you invest in anything like that? Or is your real focus at the minute about growing your business?
So my focus right now is about growing my business. And again, because I'm a single mom of two boys in America with uni and all of that, I haven't really had the liquid funds to be able to do that. Although now that they're both working and we're getting to a point, it's something I'm watching my beginner brain go, oh God, you're going to feel like a little girl in that room. And I'm like, ooh, we have a provocation to step up. So my goal is now in the next couple of years to start investigating the wealth growth rather than survival mode, because I'm very good at survival mode. I never have missed a bill yet, knock on wood, but that I don't want to live like that forever. I don't have to anymore, but it's an old pattern. So to learn to be playful and explore things that would excite me to invest, that's what I'm interested in. Like, I'd have to care about the thing, and that excites me.
Amazing. Well, I'll happily send you a copy of my book, Shari.
Thank you. I would love to read it.
Help you on that journey a little bit.
Amazing.
So if you could rewrite one cultural belief about money, what would it be?
Smart people make money. One of my mantras, I'm not a mantra person, but when I was very frustrated in business a few years ago, and there was a lot of, let's just say, charlatans selling a lot of stuff online, I learned the hard way. The smart people are not the ones who make the money. The good marketers are. You have to be savvy, but you don't have to be smart. It's not the book smarts. It's not all of the certificates you have on your wall or how much learning you did. It's how activated can you be to sell your things. And unfortunately, a lot of times I feel like a rehab coach. I end up being the cleanup crew of all the fancy guru shiny things people buy. And then they come to me 10 grand poorer and say, oh, I knew I should have gone with you at the start, but they sold so well. I totally get it. If you want real help, you could come to me. If you want a selfie game, there are plenty of people to choose from. And, that's not a mountain. That's a mountain I'm happy to die on. I don't want anyone else up there with me. I will stay there. I'm not moving from there. And I know it sounds negative, but it's also to give ourselves permission that you already know enough. You're already good enough to help someone in whatever you do. You don't have to be the best at it. You just have to be a few steps ahead of whoever it is you want to help with what it is you know. And I'm not saying make a business up out of nowhere, but check in with your integrity and your standard and grow from there. They still may be louder, but you're going to be the long-lasting one. And it took me a long time to stomach that because I didn't understand it. I was like, well, I'm smart. What's happening? It's nothing to do with that's not how people buy.
That's so interesting. And I think it's also, it's something that everybody really has to listen to, because, I hear a lot of people, they've been on the courses in my industry. So in the investment and property industry, I've got clients that have spent upwards of £60,000 and never bought a house. Yeah. And I'm like, well, why didn't you buy a house with that £60,000? And you'd be further ahead than had you spending £60,000 on 2 years of coaching, and I've done nothing. And I can't ever really get my head around that. I totally believe in investment in, I believe in investment in everything, and investment in self-development, investment in knowledge. I totally believe in that.
Yeah.
Provided there's a really tangible payback on that.
And we're not hiding behind it so that then maybe one day we'll be ready or feel enough. That's never
like buying the gym membership but not going to the gym.
Correct.
Buying the thing is not the work. The work is in the actual doing of the thing.
And just because I know something doesn't mean I'm doing it. And that is something we all, whenever I say that, the whole room goes, how much do you know? If you knew, I said it at EE, if you knew no one in that room, there were 600 people in the room, didn't not know enough. That's not what they came for.
You're 100% right. 100% right. So, Shari, I could sit and chat to you for hours, I think, about this. So at the end of every podcast episode, we ask our guest to leave a question for our next guest. They don't know who the guest's going to be, and we don't know what the question's going to be. But I've got a question from our previous guest to ask you, and then I'm going to ask you for a question for us to ask our next guest. So the question was from Mark Wright. I don't know whether you know Mark Wright or not.
I know the name.
He won The Apprentice in 2014.
Yes, I know who he is.
Worked with Alan Sugar, sold his business last year. So his question was, if you woke up with an alien at the end of your bed and that alien asked you, what is this money stuff? What would you tell the alien what it is and how to get it?
Oh, I love that question. I would tell the alien to go back to their planet because ours is crazy. But if they're going to stay here for a little while, money's an amplification of all fear, all joy, all everything. It's a tangible, transactional, self-worth coin that you can go make magic in the world. And how would you go make more of it? By being yourself. That is what I would answer money would be.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And what is your question for our next guest?
So my question would be, if money had a personality to you, like if you would characterize money as someone, what would that characterization be in your life?
Amazing. I'm just scribbling this down and then we'll get that asked. I will send you the answer once we've got it.
I can't wait to hear it.
Have a little listen. Shari, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. You really struck me in London when I saw you speak, and this has been an incredible conversation as well. So thank you so much for your time. If people want to connect with you or talk to you about coaching or anything like that, how can they do that?
My website is ShariTiegman.com, or reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Shari Tiegman. No one else answers my emails or messages. It's me. I'm very connected. I don't do any of the fake fluff. Like, I love meeting people. So even if you just want to say, hi, I heard you on Sarah's podcast, this was my takeaway, or just want to connect, I am not Miss Pitchy Salesy. Like, come and hang out. I'm always happy to have new friends.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll make sure all that goes in the show notes as well. If there's any links you want to set, or we'll check.
Thanks.
But thank you so much again for your time. Appreciate it a lot.
You.
Thank you so much for getting to the end of the podcast episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind you that the weekly Money Mechanics newsletter is available to you completely free. This is a newsletter I'm going to send out every week to just give you some ideas around what's happening in the markets, what's happening at a global level, what's happening at a lot more local level, so that you can better understand what you can do with your money to make it work for you for the future. I'm also going to share in the newsletter what I'm doing in my own portfolio, just to give you some insights into what my ideas are, why I'm making the decisions that I'm making, in the hope that it will help you to make those decisions in your own portfolios as well. All you've got to do is find the link that's with this episode, hit the link and subscribe, and that newsletter will start to come out to you every single week. I'd also really love to take this opportunity to invite you to drop me a review. I love the opportunity of getting to share these podcast episodes with you. It really helps me to better understand how we can do the best job that we can here at Money Mechanics if you tell us your feedback. So drop us a review, tell us the sort of guests that you want, talk to me and connect with me on Instagram, talk to us on YouTube, wherever you are hanging out. Tell us how you're finding it, and we can make this the very best podcast it can be. Thank you again for being such a valued listener. I appreciate you all, and I'll speak to you soon.